I would like to do a very slow class today where I focus on some of the details of the basic exercises. I feel that those basic exercises can really help change all the other exercises and how you experience them. So, starting lying down on your back, pelvis is in neutral, arms are by the side, and very slowly roll the pelvis back, allowing the navel to go down to the floor. And then as you inhale, the pelvis is rolling the opposite direction. Sit bones go wide apart. Make sure the ribs are not really moving. They're not floating up to the ceiling. And again, rocking the pelvis slowly back and forward. And then you do that one more time back and one more time forward. And then after that, you're going to find the middle. That's different for every person. You want to have the pubic bone and the two hip bones at the same height, approximately. And then as you exhale, you see if you can soften the ribs, in particular those lowest ribs, and release them down towards the mat, keeping a small space underneath your lower back. Then you're going to bring your hands behind the head and really rest the head into your hands. Elbows are up off the floor, and they're actually a little higher up than they normally are, because I want you to really feel how you rest your head in your hands. You press the head almost into the hands, down, and then you pull the head just a millimeter off the floor with the hands, and then you release the head even more. Do that one more time, pulling the head up and releasing the head. Then you're going to roll the head with your hand to the left using the right hand. It's a small movement. And then to the right using the left hand. So you move your head with your hands. It's not the head that's moving. You really do it with your hands. You very gently roll your head from side to side, keeping your head as much as possible in your center line, in that midline. That midline goes from your nose through the navel towards your pubic bone, and that's the line that you want to keep in mind whenever you do your exercises. Then, releasing the elbows a little bit, you're going to exhale and soften the ribs, and inhale again. And every time you exhale, you soften the ribs, and inhale again. So on the next one, you're going to start by exhaling and softening the ribs, and then the head and shoulders come up. So you start with your exhalation, softening the ribs. Then your head and shoulders come just off the mat. You're going to press the head back into your hands while you pull the head gently away from the shoulders. So you really want to lengthen the spine, coming up a millimeter higher, reaching the fingertips to pull yourself up a little bit further. Bring the hands back behind the head, press the head into the hands, and then lengthen all the way down. And again, softening the ribs, exhaling, so you're only at the end of the exhalation, the head and shoulders are coming up. Then you reach your fingertips, you come up, bring the hands back behind the head, and lengthen all the way down. 2 more like this, exhaling, softening the ribs, curling up, still your head is resting in your hands. Check what your pelvis is doing. Make sure there's still a little space underneath your lower back. Shoulders are resting on the ribs, pressing the head into the hands before you lengthen all the way down. Last one like this, softening the ribs. Head and shoulders up, reaching the fingertips up, hands back behind that, and then all the way down. Now we're going to obliques. First coming up the same way, so you start exhaling, head and shoulders come up, Then you're going to rotate your head to the left with your right hand as you curl up a little further. You think of your right elbow reaching towards your left knee. If you like, you can float the left knee up, and then you bring everything back down. Other side, first up through the middle, then think of that midline as you turn the head, so your head is still aligned with your pubic bone, your navel, and nose, and other side, ribs first, up and over to the left, reach, elbow towards the knee, keep the pelvis in that neutral position, and all the way down, and up, and rotate, and float, and release. And then we're going to make it even bigger, coming up first, rotating, float the left leg up and reach the right leg away, and then release. And other side, up, rotate, and reach. And then you can go into a crisscross, still supporting your head with your hands and almost turning your head with your hand. And another 2 and 2 and 1 and 1 and release. Release the arms, walk the feet a little closer to the pelvis, and then as you exhale, you're going to allow the pelvis to roll back, reaching the knees forward as your sacrum is floating towards the backs of the knees, pressing the feet into the floor, and then reaching the arms overhead, keeping the back of the neck nice and long, and then softening the sternum. Going all the way down. And bring the arms back. We'll do 3 more like this, nice and slow. And you want to make this movement as easy as possible. Really floating the hips up to the ceiling, softening the ribs down to the floor, reaching the arms, and then placing, allowing the ribs to come down one after the other, and releasing the pelvis and bringing the arms back. Use your exhalation to think of a long spine, and then exhaling to go down. With the exhalation, you see if you can release another vertebra individually back onto the mat. We call this articulating the spine. And the arms come back, and the last one. Open the hips. Press your hands onto the hips and the hips into the hands. Press a little more into your left leg for the right leg to float up. Reach it up to the ceiling, bend and release. Changing side, press into your right leg for the left leg to float up, reach, bend and release. We'll do that one more time on each side. Reach, bend, release. Make sure those hips are leveled still. Press, reach, bend, release. Reach the arms. And slowly going all the way back. And release. Bring one leg up to a tabletop and the other hands behind the thighs. You're going to roll up all the way up to a seated position. You start again with a long exhalation, softening the ribs. Head and shoulders come up almost automatically. Start pressing the thighs into your hands to roll yourselves all the way up, and then sitting nice and tall. Exhaling, rolling down. Focus on the pelvis. See if you can keep the shoulders as long as possible in that same position while you move the pelvis. Eventually the shoulders are coming back, feet are dangling, and then all the way back up. Rolling up again. Soften those ribs. Remember the head, it's still in, it's actually as if it's still pressing into invisible hands. That's a difficult word. And I'm rolling down. One more time to come up to a seated position. Press the thighs into your hands, coming all the way up. Then you're going to sit right onto your sit bones. Straight legs. If it's more comfortable, you can always bend your legs. You just want to make sure you're really sitting on your sit bones. Bring the hands back behind the head. It's like we did in the beginning, so you're really holding the head and pulling it up to the ceiling. Then you start exhaling, softening the ribs again. Reach the crown of the head up while the shoulders slide down the back. You inhale into the back, and then you exhale to come all the way back up. So I'd really like you to feel how you exhale to soften the ribs like this. Almost automatically you make a long curve forwards, but I'd like you to make that curve longer by really reaching the crown of the head away while still pressing the head up into your hands, and then coming all the way back up. We'll do 3 more of these. Softening the ribs, exhaling, reaching, inhaling into the back, lengthening even more, and then coming all the way back up. 2 more. Check what your shoulders are doing. They tend to creep up to the ears. So see if you can slide them down, or rather let them go down a little further. And the last one. Softening the ribs, reaching, and coming all the way back up. And then reach your arms up to the ceiling. We go into a twist to the right. And a twist to the left. Lengthening. And keeping, again, you're rotating around that midline. So your nose, your navel, and your pubic bone are as much as possible aligned. Last one to the left. And then we add the 2 together. You rotate to the right. And you soften the ribs, reaching forwards to the right with your left hand, and then to the left, reaching with your right hand, curving the spine, staying on 2 sit bones. And one more to the right, and one more to the left. And then you're going to roll yourselves all the way down, hands behind the thighs. Rolling all the way down. And then come into a side lying position. Legs are bent. Your ribs are resting in the mat. And you want to make sure your hips are stacked. So really leaning my left lung here into the mat. Opening my left armpit, floating the right leg up, keeping my hips stacked and then pressing the leg out. And 4. And 3. And 2. Last one, and then we're going to add the arm for another 5. So reach your arm up to the ceiling, reach arm and leg away from each other. 5. And you still want to feel how your ribs are leaning into the mat. 4. And 3. And 2. Last one. And release. And then roll over to your other side, where we do the same thing. Knees are bent. First of all, take a little bit of time to release the ribs into the mat, stacking the hips, floating the top leg up, and then pressing the leg out. 5 and 4. Stick this sit bone out as you bend the leg. 3 and 2. Last one. And then we add the arms. So there we go. Arm up to the ceiling. Reach arm and leg away from each other, keeping the hips stacked and the ribs on the mat. And 2. We do another 3 and 2. Last one. And then you come onto your belly. Allow the body to settle here, adjusting the clothes if needed. And then you bring your hands behind the head, like we did in the beginning, interlacing the fingers. Elbows are quite close together. You're going to press the head up into your hands. Check that the shoulders are really resting on the ribs. Press the head up into your hands while reaching the crown of the head forwards. And then see if you can float your elbows off the mat a millimeter. Have a look and then give it a try. Release. Exhaling, pelvis, ribs sink deeper into the mat, reaching the crown of the head forwards for the the elbows to come off the mat. Breathing here still. Don't hold your breath. It's hard work. And release. Another 3. And again, exhaling really helps. Shoulders might be creeping up, so see if you can let go and release. 2 more. And the last one like this. Now this last one, your head is up, elbows off the mat. Now you rotate your head to the left elbow a little higher than the right. And then the other way. Small movement. And remember how you moved your head with your hands in the beginning. That's what we do now as well. Still pressing the head up into your hands. Last one to the left. And the last one to the right. Keep your head here. Bring your hands next to the ribs, elbows close to the ribs. And then as you exhale, you reach your elbows down the back and open the sternum. It's still as if your head is pressing up into your hands, so you really want to lengthen. And release. 4 more. Reach the elbows, slide the shoulders down the back. Reach the crown of the head the opposite direction. And if you like, you float your hands off the mat, millimeter. Release and lengthen all the way down. 3 more. Think again about lengthening the spine so you reach the crown of the head forwards and up while you release the pelvis and the ribs into the mat. 2 more. Float the hands off. Release the hands and lengthen all the way down. Last one. And take your time, enjoying that feeling. Float the hands off. And then reach the arms back, keeping the chest open. Turn the palms of the hands down and the arms go up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We do another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press yourself into a child's pose. And enjoy that stretch. Reaching the fingertips forwards and the sit bones back. Allow the sternum to drop down into the mat, keeping the back of the neck long. Coming into all fours, hands underneath the hips, no, the other way around, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And then, first of all, be aware of what your head is doing. Many people will have the head hanging down like this. Think about those hands behind your head and press the head up into those invisible hands, imaginary hands, reaching the crown of the head forwards. Then you're going to float your right hand and your left knee just a millimeter off the mat, keeping the head where it is, reaching and release. Changing to the other side and release. One more on each side. Other side. And then you start reaching arm and leg, really lengthening. And again, be aware of your head. See, you can imagine those hands behind the head and you press the head up into your hands. And release. Other side. We'll just do 2 more on each side. And this is 1 on one side. Think of the head reaching. Think of the leg reaching. You can always reach a little further. Open the back of the knee. Think of the thigh being higher up than the foot. And 1 more on each side. And the other side. And then we do a nice mermaid stretch. So the legs are in a so-called C-sit. One leg is in the front, the other to the side. Then you want to reach the crown of the head up to the ceiling. And then you go over to the side of the front leg. Pressing the mat away, shoulder is back on the ribs. And see if you can open the ribs. Breathing into the back. Exhaling through the front. Over to the other side. And then moving a little faster. 2 times to each side. 2 and 2 and 1 and 1. And then we go back to the first side. And you dive 1 arm underneath. 1, 3 times. 2 and 3. Arm comes all the way up. And then we go the other way. Legs the other way. First, give your pelvis a little bit of time to get used to this position. Opening the arms out. Lengthening and then going over to the side. The first one you take a little bit longer. Shoulders back on the ribs. Press yourselves up a little bit. Opening the ribs. And then over to the other side. And again, 2 to each side, a little faster. 2. And 1 more. And the last one. And then diving the top arm underneath. 1 and 2 and 3. Now placing both hands next to one another, extending the back leg, tucking the toes into the mat. And then you come into a plank. Or in any other way, you reach your heels away actively. Press the floor away. Reach the crown of the head forward. So again, imagine those hands behind the head and you press the head up into your hands. Breathing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release one knee and the other. Well done, and thank you very much.